Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.co's. This is our weekend offering, our broiler chickens offering. I got a bit of a headache today, so I apologize. Probably not going to be Mr. Jumping up and down, pulling his hair out, excited. Feeling a little under the weather today, right now. And been doing just a ton of TRI back office stuff. And, the irony of it all, guys, is you're extremely lucky. They often call trading the one perfect business because you don't have to deal with all the bullshit of running companies. Fucking such a pain in the ass, guys. I tell you. I want to, we bloody well are, Brian. But seriously, they actually, we want to give a shout out to Dave in Texas. A big yeah! There you go, Jesse. Merry Christmas. But yeah, I mean, it's almost funny how easy a life of being a trader is and just making money from buy, sell, follow my trading plan. Am I doing my trading plan right? Am I taking appropriate risk, right? And just, coming to places like Brian's to try and learn some more stuff. But holy shit. Actually running one of these companies with employees and contracts and fucking shareholder agreements. Oh, God, what a fucking headache. I really suggest to all of you guys, just build your business of trading and just be a trader and just go make a shitload of money from trading and just keep it as simple and as easy as possible. But anyway, it's interesting. I have on the screen here a couple comments from people. And, Stephen here actually writes that in comparison, he's been to a bunch of, paid sites and stuff on the net. And a lot of people just, totally take advantage of you, people wanting to learn how to trade, and just bilk you for everything that you can get. So I'm really, really pleased at this kind of feedback saying that, your content of TRI, even in our crazy sort of trying to transition from an old website to a new website, and everything's all fucking scattered from hell to breakfast and can't find anything half the time. Even in this environment, we're still, to new people coming to the site, showing people that, and giving people content that is way above and beyond what they're getting even from these really expensive websites that they join. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Steve. Thank you very much for the feedback. Totally appreciate that. Showed it to the boys. And the boys were really, really pleased to see this. That the bottom line here is, even while we're in the process of trying to reorganize, restructure, reconfigure, move to a new website, all that kind of shit, right? Automate schools, we're still, bringing the value to you guys. So that makes me very, very happy. So Steve, I'm glad to see that you're a happy customer. And really, Brian's number one job is just to keep on keeping on for you guys. Thank you very much for the kind feedback from Joseph here. Sent me a nice little note about mental illness and mental health. And we won't go into details about this, but long and short of it here is, ironically enough, mental health is actually the least talked about factor in the success of being a trader. And, in our sort of very male-centric society, it's actually looked down upon to even admit that you have mental health issues and maybe you're not feeling so happy or whatever. I'm here to just simply say that's bullshit. Your mental health is actually probably your biggest determinant of whether you're actually going to do well at this or not. Huge motivation for us is this whole concept of PMA, positive mental attitude. So really, even if you're not in that space, then maybe just do yourself a favor and put the mouse down. You don't have to actually take a trade. You can paper trade and keep practicing and interacting with their community and stuff, and just paper trade, right? If you're feeling in the zone, you're feeling with it, you're feeling awesome, you're feeling good to go, embrace that, journal it, talk to yourself about how that feels. What are the things in your life that set you up to feel that way? Did you happen to have a specific, food for breakfast that makes you feel good? Did you happen to have a certain amount of hours of sleep? Did you, maybe you had an awesome evening with your little lady the previous night? I don't know. The point here is, get in touch. Are you? Oh, Jay, I love you, babe. Are your shoes on? That's a specific shout out. You know who we're talking about. Everybody on TRI should know that. That was a great reference. And pants, of course. So I just wanted to give a mention to that person. Thank you very much for the mental health feedback commentary. Appreciate your sort of feeling empathetic for Brian. I'll tell you, after I sit down with my maker after this whole journey is over, I'll tell you, I've been put through the ringer here over the past 7 years, no doubt about it. And sure, I've gotten to learn how vulnerable even good old Uncle Brian is. Somebody says, "What's up with Rocker?" Oh, what up, Rocker? Oh, you guys talking to each other? All right, cool. Sorry. Dave Destroyer. Dave the Destroyer of Stud Muffins. Wow, there's a name. Thanks, Dave. Anyway, it looks like you guys are chit-chatting away. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. So I just wanted to make reference to that. I thought it was really cool to see commentary, feedback about the significance of mental health, your mental health. Put yourself into a position, supports. That's the whole reason why we work with trading plans. It is really important in this game. I wanted to make a quick reference, and unfortunately, I was in meetings all morning, so I wasn't able to fully participate, but I did pop in just very briefly to the RSP group, and it was really cool to see them working away on mining stock ideas. Sheila bringing it, Mike bringing it. Here's Mike in our conversation here in the hangout. Great job, Mike. Great to see you being a really good sort of leader for them. William, I think we saw you in there too, didn't we? That was kind of cool seeing you there. And somebody I hadn't seen on the site in a while, and this is the cool part about our community, is if you do all level 3, all the education programs, you're basically grandfathered on the site, and you can come and go at your leisure. I hadn't seen Peter on the site in probably a year or two, so it was great to see him back. And he was making reference at the next Cambridge House mining conference. So those people that are in Vancouver is coming up here. And look at this, they even have a countdown clock, 71 days. So let's maybe as a team, as a project, anybody who's in Vancouver that is interested in the mining space, that is interested in the RSP group, that is interested in learning VCIM, and really getting to know the sort of, the actual characters in this space. I had talked to you guys recently about a guy that I did a deal with years ago in the mining space. It turns out that he's going into crypto now. Go figure. So odds are Robert Eady, I can absolutely guarantee you, he will be at this conference. So in a weird sort of way, you can actually get to know some of the crypto players locally here. And a guy like you, Shane, I would request that you come out here with us to us with this, because you're going to see a lot of the players that do the venture cap game in the stock market. They make very easy, quick transitions. And if they can see making a buck in crypto, they'll be there in a heartbeat. So it would be, Shane is here locally here in Vancouver. So a guy like you being as intimate in the crypto space as you are going to have to get used to this whole RSP game, whether you like it or not. So you might as well get up to speed with that kind of stuff. And this, I think, is a great dovetail for you, where you can sort of combine the best of both worlds. So if you are in Vancouver or BC, or you happen to be, in the neighborhood, maybe Mike hop on a plane for that weekend if you want. You can come crash on my couch if you want, or my son's bedroom. More than welcome. I'm gonna have fucking 20 people at my door. But the invitation's here. You want to come crash in my place? I got pull-out couches. I got spare bedrooms. Feel free. If you are here in Vancouver, I would love for us to, as a group, to go to one of these things. I used to always go by myself, and it's always, kind of sucky to go by yourself. So anyway, thank you, Peter. And of course, Peter, if you are watching this later on, maybe you could be our official quarterback for this. I don't know. Cambridge House is a really good presentation. In fact, actually, you want to know a really cool side story? I actually met John Bollinger for the first time back in the 1990s at one of these Cambridge House conferences. That's where I met John Bollinger. And it was back in the days of Briex. I don't know whether you guys have ever heard of Briex. Long time ago. Level 3ers officially sort of indoctrinated into their harmonics. And Ian, I think Ian's going to fucking take over the world. I would do yourself, all of you, do yourself a favor and just try and befriend, introduce yourself to Ian. He is going to run the world one of these days, so be careful. Don't, make an enemy out of him. But just a fantastic trader, just really, really top-notch trader. But he was working away, and actually we found a really cool side story in that class yesterday, which I thought was so cool. Because even the RSP group today, we were looking at a pharmaceutical stock, and we were trying to figure out what's the logic behind why the pharmaceutical stocks are acting the way that they are. And in this particular case, this pharmaceutical stock was right on its knees. And so the question ultimately was, do we see any price action in the sort of broader market indexes that actually explains why the pharmaceutical stocks would be as weak as they are and why we would see signs that they're starting to turn? In that RSP group this morning, someone mentioned a pharmaceutical stock where insiders are going and starting to buy very aggressively. And we need to understand that pharmaceutical stocks are counter-cyclical. They usually move opposite to the economic cycle. So if the economy is booming, right, and the general economy, think of Main Street, right, more business is being done, then people don't go and buy pharmaceutical stocks, because pharmaceutical stocks, their sales is based on their drug pipeline. They got a hot new drug, then boom, up goes the stock, but it has nothing to do with the economy. So it makes sense why pharmaceutical stocks are as weak as they are right now. But more importantly, what I found really interesting is we're starting to see anecdotal signs that there might be turning, insider buying, W's forming, blah, 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 blah. So in our harmonic class yesterday, and I thought this was fascinating, we pulled up a long-term chart of the NASDAQ, and we just simply asked, would it make sense for the NASDAQ to maybe run out of steam up in this area? And it turns out this is actually a very well-known harmonic pattern called the crab. And gee whiz, you've heard Brian talking about doom and gloom this fall. I don't know, Mike, did the RSP group talk at all about put option strategies or anything in the time that I wasn't in the meeting? No. Keep focused on that, right? I definitely think that there is a broader market short trade coming up here. I think it develops through the summertime. And it's interesting, if we go, I'm just eyeballing this, 1.618 is the fib that we really want to watch. But it's interesting how this level is still just a little bit further above the market here. And what we might actually be seeing, which would be really cool, is we might be seeing, and I often see this happen, where you get harmonic patterns that actually develop inside other harmonic patterns that end up actually validating these harmonic levels. Now, I don't know if it's going to look like this. I'm just eyeballing this. Total conjecture. But the long and short of it here is I just keep seeing more anecdotal evidence that we should be preparing for some sort of, dump. I don't know whether we're at the top. I still think that the 1.618s have to be tagged. And I actually posted it in the Telegram group. I don't know whether you guys talked about it. Yeah, here it is right in front of my screen. I really wanted to talk to you guys about this. You guys remember I talked to you about the long-term cycle, guys, the Foundation for the Study of Cycles. And we're going to actually create a TRI RRSP group here as well. So if you want to join a Telegram chat, RSP, Mike's going to be working on that later today. Right, Mike? But the study for the long-term cycle, guys, some really interesting data coming out of here. So their long-term cycles, they were actually looking for a long-term bear market to start. And of course, we've been talking lots about that recently, right? 17.5-year fear cycle, right? Markets usually have recessions sometime in the period of 8s, 9s, 1s, 0s. The yield curve is slowly approaching inversion. So put it all together, it shouldn't shock us that, you know, the long-term cycle guys are thinking down. What's really interesting about these guys is that somebody came along and just totally fucked up this cycle. Any idea who that might be? Nobody? One person. There you go. So Mr. Trump kind of threw a major fucking wrench into the works here, and you can really see it in the actual indexes. So, you know, our cycle guys, they were, and it was such a pretty rolling top. Everything was in place. Looks like the market was going to politely unwind. But you can see into that election, that was all through here. The market, I mean, look at these double tops, eh? M top, we talked about, you know, in the class, and actually you see it on the S&P 500 a lot better. You know, the level oneers right now, they should be working on candlestick patterns. And you see this, you know, we'll talk about it in class, the most beautiful outside downside key reversal on the S&P 500. And in essence, the stock market was going through its cleanup. And then all of a sudden, something happened about halfway through 2016, which almost just instantly changed the story. And I honestly believe if it was business as usual, either the Clintons or the Trumps, I beg your pardon, the Clintons or the Bushes had taken over the U.S. Executive office, then it would have been just business as usual. But then this Trump guy came along and just threw everything into a tizzy here. And I would argue, you know, like our long-term cycle guys, you can see they were going, okay, everything's rocking, normal bear cycle. And then everything just got thrown out of whack through that election, right? And the actual election event, I think, is like somewhere around here. Oh, no, it's right here. So the actual election event was right here. This sort of, whoa. Things aren't business as usual. Something different is happening here. And this has basically been Mr. Trump influence on the market. Now, the interesting thing about this is that these cycle guys are back at it again. And they are postulating that now their cycle seems to look something like this. And this is sort of the disconnect of the election and their cycle theory. Remember the Bitcoin cycle, this is pretty accurate. Their cycle theory is looking for an ultimate peak in stocks somewhere around early July. So, Mike, right, are you still interested in shorting the Canadian stock market? So this is sort of where our window we really need to focus. And, you know, the cycle guys, this is what they're thinking heading down the road. Wow. That's incredible, eh? So it's going to be a long, drawn-out process. This is usually what happens in recessions, is it takes a year or two to play out. Remember, this is our big Jupiter-Saturn cross here, which marks the start of the next cycle, right? So I just wanted to mention that to you. I posted all of these. I posted them in the lounge. I posted them in the Telegram groups. Just as we had that sort of roadmap for Bitcoin, which seems to be fairly accurate so far, we now have a roadmap from the cycle guys of what the stock market should look like here going forward. And I, for one, absolutely am going to be taking this trade. For me, myself personally, my own personal accounts, and we'll try and do this also on TRI, but I'm definitely going to be going into super stocking mode. Everything is all in place. They usually say that the stock market loses 50% of its value through recessions. So if we just simply go off of the previous base and prices and do a 50% rule, you'll notice we're sitting up here near 300 right now on this anticipation in July. You can see that the 50% level is like 180. Well, 50%, that's of 300, that's 150. That's right here. So can you guys see the future? Can you see it starting to play out? I can. It's pretty sad, eh? So the broader economy, and man, Shane, you think it's going to get crazy? This is the US market. What do you think is going to happen to a country like Canada if the commodity cycle rolls over, interest rates spike higher? Do you think the Canadian story is actually going to be friendlier? It's going to be softer than this, or do you think it's going to be worse? Yeah, I mean, those people in Canada, this could be really, really bad. You know, a good example, what's probably the best one to give you? Probably Bank of America, eh? Bank of America, obviously one of the biggest lenders. Do you see? Here's $55 a share. Mike, do you see the sort of similarities if we zoom in here, right? And we looked at Royal Bank of Canada stock. Similar, right? And we're kind of going like, okay, we're going to buy or put 50% levels in here, right? But what actually ends up happening is, boom. So this is sort of what I think has to happen in the Canadian banking sector as Canada has to go through its financial asset crisis. This is the US, right? And they're all about, you know, housing market and, you know, mortgages and all that, you know, George Bush Jr. shit, right? And all that. I think that Canada being it's extremely vulnerable. And I wouldn't be surprised if the stock market rolls over, sort of our scenario that we we showed you there a few minutes ago with the cycle guys. It wouldn't surprise me if crude oil prices have to come off. And that, of course, kicks the shit out of basically Canada's #1 sort of revenue source, which is oil. I also found it really interesting lately. Do you know who the biggest exporter of natural gas is in the world right now? And this is a big change. The world's got to get used to this. Nope. Nope. That's right, Mike. The United States of America now is the world's leading exporter of natural gas. What? That doesn't make any sense. The point here is that everybody looks at the US economy as sort of the consumption engine. They sell into the US economy to keep their fucking markets alive. And energy, of course, was the big sort of, you know, why does the Americans have such massive trade deficits? Well, because they have to import so much energy. So the writing is on the walls, guys. The commodity cycle is at an end. It's ending. It's not beginning, it's ending. It's going to be a very interesting few years ahead of us, guys. I would basically say that for anybody who can, try and hunt for this opportunity to make money shorting the market heading into the fall here, because I think there's going to be a lot of money to be made. Just kind of slow and steady. So that's sort of the commentary I wanted to give you guys on the stock market and just sort of a little bit of backdrop. I don't know whether I'm really in that big of a rush to go and buy a whole shitload of stock right now. I think if anything, what I think is the smart thing to do, and of course, as a broker, my sales manager, would just shit his pants when I'd say this. But I actually think the best thing to do right now is just sit on a big pile of cash. To have it in T-bills, keep rolling it over. You can buy strip coupon bonds, which in essence, they will mature, let's say 1 year duration. There's no coupons associated with the bond, so the bond trades at a discount to maturity face value now. So you could go buy like a 1 year strip coupon bond for say $99. It matures at 100, and there's your 1% return. I think you could probably buy some half decent corporates, like big banks, big utilities, in BC, like the phone company. I mean, it's not going out of business anytime soon. And you could probably get 2-3% on your money. And I'm going to take those dollars that are freed up, because remember, my principal will mature at par. So I'm going to get my, if it's $10,000, I'm going to go put like $9,000 in, or I guess 95, 96, 9,700. And I'm going to get $10,000 on maturity. I'm going to go take those extra $200-300 and go and buy the put options with those dollars. So in essence, my bonds mature at par. I get all my original money back in my hands, but I've got all this extra cash right now sitting free, and I can go and play the market with that free money. It's in essence my interest on that money. So that's the strategy that I'm going to be thinking about over the next few months. How do I position myself to do that? Okay, let's head over, talk a little bit about crypto. I've got about 20 minutes left, and then I got to head off to the boy. So interestingly enough, and I have been sort of musing about this recently, if we look back in the 2013-2014 move, we bounced down in, tagged Mountain Man, bounced back, then had to come down, swim against those lows before we saw this sort of substantial dead cat bounce. And if we go and find, and who can find it quick for me? The Cycle Guys link that I put, I think it was like January 16th or something. So let's see if we can quickly get back there. Geez, was it over a month ago? Does anybody remember when the date? I thought it was the 16th. There's the 12th. Oh, that's still February. Shit. I thought it was like January that I posted that, but it might have been February. Anyway, looking for that January 26th. Thanks, Chief. I need you guys to sort of keep me focused here. Jesus, man, Brian sure fucking loves the sound of his own tweets. Oh, goodness. Anyway, I'll find it in here somewhere. February 5th. February 3rd. February 2nd. All right, we're getting closer. January. Come on. Oh, was that it right there? Nope. Is it around here? Where are you? There it is. Yay, January 26th. You're right. Perfect. So, the same thing as sort of these long-term cycle guys. We had talked a little bit about what we should be expecting out of Bitcoin to begin the year and what we're thinking about down the road. I had wondered whether just recently we were in this and we had to have one more little fuck you just to break the recent crypto, bulls' hearts before we actually started this counter trend rally in earnest. But the market's going to do any old damn thing the market wants to do. I mean, that's critical. Oh, good. So I see Christian is happy and Joshua's happy. Nice doubles I'm hearing people booking. Good. I am looking for this counter trend rally that should take us back up into sort of the topping range. I just didn't know whether we had to do one more fuck you here before they could do that. Market's going to do whatever the hell the damn thing the market wants to do. So here we are. We've been talking about, there's Mountain Man Tag. We've been talking about how the market's really just been stuck in a trading range for a while here. Does the market just want to continue working its way up here? It can do that. It can do any old damn thing it wants. I would say until this level is taken out in earnest, though, we still are stuck in the trading range. So I don't know whether we can put the cart before the horse just yet. When I look at the lower time frames, we had an interesting bullish bot setup here developed through the weekend off of this very noticeable bullish divergence. And I did hear that there were a few people on the site that have been taking these bots. So rock on, fucking A, way to go, man. If this thing does play out as anticipated, it's actually suggesting we're going to be up into that 15 area, which would make sense for this kind of move right here. The problem is, guys, I mean, let's call a spade a spade. Once this move is done, oh boy, I'm looking for a big thumping. And interestingly enough, and I don't know, maybe if we're lucky, this can play itself out into the summer. That would be really nice. And then that would correspond with that stock market peak. And not only does crypto top, but stocks top, and the whole market goes into sort of that reset mode. We'll see what happens. I'm still thinking we're down in this area right now, but, only time will tell. I think everybody, on this site should be well aware that TRI on balance, of course, is very heavy crypto. And I wouldn't mind, balancing things out a little bit. So I did, when we were down here, we actually were buyers of Bitcoin. And we were looking, first stop target, this should be pretty obvious, 38.2s. Just as soon as we got to $10,000, we started spoon feeding. And I've got, as you can see, I still have 4 spoon feeding orders to go. And, should we rally above 13.5, I'll be more than happy to work some more orders up here and spoon feed. I'm very comfortable with that. If this level is tripped up here and kind of like what we saw off of this kind of chart, I can realistically look for a shot. And it's interesting because the level 2ers just did price channels. And I do believe that if we do break this downward price channel, which technically you could say we have, then I actually think that we're contained within this channel now. And we're just climbing the wall of worry up into this AB equals CD event target window. It is interesting to see that we haven't broken out here on momentum. And for us to really be rah bull, this is pretty much a slam dunk. We got to take this level out here. So there definitely is the possibility that, tonight they wake up in Japan, I guess. Well, it's the end of Sunday now. Usually we actually see the pivot come in through the weekend right about now. As we get ready for Japan and Asia to start Monday morning. They'll start their Monday morning in about 3 or 4 hours. So it's really simple. Get this frickin' price above this high, and this happens to be on stamp, right? 11,780. Looks like it's the high there. 11,780. Yeah. So get this price above 11,780, and everybody can breathe a nice sigh of relief. If anything, as long as this 50% level is not tagged, then actually if we come back down and we consolidate, you can still technically take this bot setup. But I will say that if we can't take this high out and we M out here, it wouldn't surprise me if, guys like Thomas are actually going to be hunting shorts, playing first, simple 38.2 retracement back to 10,600 area, which is interesting because that'll just be the original bot entry again. And if we really start to crap out, then they're going to be looking for a big fat round number, $10,000 again. And then if we really lose that and we M out here, well, then the counter trend rally's toast. It's over. So, I mean, we're not really at a very good trade location right here, right now. If anything, I totally, completely understand professionals are actually probably seriously considering shorts here. If you do want to be a buyer and you want to get in on this big bot, my advice, for whatever it's worth, and it's just Brian's opinion, is you got to wait for the pullback and then wait for some sort of bullish resolution candle pattern or a W or a triangle or something down in here to help you get long. But right here, this is probably a really dangerous place to be a buyer. We have done some buying recently in the altcoins, and probably when we look at these charts, there really shouldn't be anything surprising or shocking out of any of these buys, but we can just go through them. I went and bought some of this NBT on some stink bids here. You can see the price is coming back as Bitcoin's rallying. Frankly speaking, I wouldn't be surprised Bitcoin does its rally up into 15 and this guy comes back and basically eats the tail. And that's exactly what we expect, right? Big tails like to get eaten. And, I didn't expect this to one day swish down into here, but I wouldn't be surprised if this NBT has to come down into these levels. And it's a hedge. It's doing exactly the job that it's supposed to. We just locked the money away there. We bought some of this MCO recently. I think it makes sense why I was a buyer. Oh, excuse me. Really screwy night last night. Sorry, guys. Top of the range, try not to buy up here. Bottom of the range, okay to be nibbling. Very first thing, do we have trade location? So are we at or below reload zones? Not up there. 61.8. 78.6. Well, I think we're below that, not walking into a trap. Then we had this cute little range here. And actually, this is a really good anecdote of the line in the sand. The line in the sand is actually now significant resistance. If the market can break back up through here, you'll see in hindsight, and this is often why I just go and throw nanny nibble bids off this level. God, it's irritating as hell. You can see how the market is basically oscillating off this level. If it's a bull and we recapture that, then probably don't look. She's not going to look back. I do like the idea, and the reason why I probably bought some more here recently is you can see how this is also a reload zone. So this is what I would call getting in on the story on the cheap. No guarantees in this business. You all know that. But location is always the best place to start. And if you're thinking about, investing your hard-earned money in the marketplace, that's pretty damn good location. I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. Looks like we got a confirmed bullish divergence here, so that's good. And if I'm not mistaken, just in the short term, we got a little bit of a W working here. So we went down, up, down, trying to break out even as we speak. Not a bad idea. Hopefully it makes sense why Brian was a buyer there. We bought EGC. Let's see what this thing looks like. Yeah, it's hopefully what you see is basically taper quarter, same message, don't chase, try and buy near the bottom end of ranges. So again, just even in this, don't chase up here, try and buy near the bottom end of ranges. I think actually the reason what got me sort of jazzed here in the short term was just this range. Zooming out on the bigger picture, I could see this thing have to come back down a little bit more here, though. But I think, what did I put into this? I put into it 0.09, not a hell of a lot. Not a bad area to take a nibble off this 78.6, just simply playing this double bottom. If it loses, if anything, it sure looks to me like we need to come down into this level. So if we're just not ready to turn, I can always go and add a little bit more down in this area here. But I did take a little nibble off of here just because I like the idea of buying against all of these lows here. It's not a bad idea. OBV, you can see money is flowing into this story, not out. That's not bad. Looks like we got a little bit of a bullish divergence here. I like this W here. This one, it's okay. Nothing great. Willie is stupid. So if you are going to be a seller, you're way too late. I think if anything, I like the idea of nibbling off the POC, 78.6, original W. And if we do dip down into here, not a bad area to maybe to add a little bit more. And if I'm not mistaken, I wouldn't be surprised if I have an order in there. So I did a little bit of nibbling there. POWR. Excuse me. This guy doesn't look like he's quite ready to turn, but very close. Reload zones. You can see where the original double bottom is down here. Could even argue this is a bit of like a Kavark, right? 78.6, double bottom structure. So shouldn't surprise anybody why Brian was a buyer here. It doesn't look to me like this thing's quite ready to go yet. I do like the fact that on balance, volume is not pouring out of here, which is a good sign. I think the divergence is still trying to confirm itself. You can see lower lows. So if we get any sort of uppy here whatsoever, that will confirm the divergence, and then you can go into W hunting mode to add to the trade. And of course, like I always like to see, Willie nice and stupid. So in essence, if you're a seller, you're way, way, way too late. So hopefully that makes sense why I was a buyer there. Just buying against the bottom end of ranges. We bought TRUST. Let's see what we got here. Boom. Cute little W. Hopefully you see basically the same message. I actually do like, okay, so this one could be trouble if it really falls apart. There's the original W down there, which happens to be right in here. So I could see this thing have to come down a bit more, but I do like the fact that just on the short term, we're coming up against all these lows. We put in this low here, and then just off of this range in particular, right? Hopefully you can see the reload zone. And actually, we can even go off of this low, right? I suppose we can do off that high too, but nonetheless, just try and force yourself. If I'm going to buy this asset, don't buy it up here. Don't buy it up here. Don't buy it up here. You can trade 61.8, man. In the alt space, I actually prefer to use the lower fibs. And of course, if we do like 88.6 Ian's level, that seems to be working really, really well these days. So there's 88.6, big surprise. There's the bottom, right? So nice little W coming off of Ian's level, big counter trend rally. I like the idea of somebody believes that this is a floor. There is 88.6 off of just this range alone, which is against that original double bottom, and gee whiz, there's the bottom there. Not a bad idea. To be honest with you, when I look at this profile, this looks problematic. So again, nibbles. What did we buy here? I'm a little bit heavy on this thing. 0.14. Probably going to have to wait a bit here. I might go and average down if we do have to tank back down into here. Got the orders working to sell halves on doubles, so any kind of spike into any of these highs, get myself a risk-free trade as fast as possible. So did a little bit of nibbling here, but fully expect. In fact, the name I said 2 names ago, EGC, same sort of thing. May easily do more buying down here. GNO. What the hell is this one? Same sort of thing. I think I have multiple bids working here. Interesting how, and hopefully you hear the same message, right? There is the reload zone of this range, so we can go shopping again at or below the reload zone. Then what I noticed last night, which I thought was kind of amusing, was if I just did a range off of here to here, this also is a reload zone. And so I went and pulled the trigger at 131. That's just like right in here last night. Could this thing work its way down? You can see there's a bit of a cheeky gap down in here. And if I'm not mistaken, I have a bid to add to the trade at this level as well. So, some nibbling. Nothing really pound the table-y. Just a lot of coins that have just been slowly working their way back down to bottom ends of ranges. And I'm stepping in and starting to do some buying again. I also bought, what the hell was it I bought over there? I bought a little bit of Thomas's idea over on Binance, this OST. Logic should be exactly the same. Markets worked its way back down to the bottom end of the range, doing some nibbling. And I noticed this metal's been moving up nicely lately. What's going on here? METAL. I don't think I bought any of this recently. Yeah, this is a very respectable name. You could go and take a nibble off of there. It's totally fine. Is that the same one? Yeah. So that sort of hopefully gives you a summary of what I've been doing here. Everybody's talking about NMR. What the fuck's going on there? NMR. Oh. That's a cute little chart. Can anybody see any letters of the alphabet that maybe you should be interested in? It's really, that's the way this game works. So you just got to find these damn letters of the alphabet. 71% move on the day. Well, that's nice. We got about a quarter of a Bitcoin. Yeah, well, and the interesting thing is that's a good point. Is especially the level oneers. I told them, what's the first thing that you should be looking for? Weekly W's. So you can see that this one's finally getting to the point where it's actually starting to think about doing weekly W's. So that's a great comment there, Albert. And it just shows that you're learning. You're doing great. Awesome. EMC2. I don't know about that. In fact, why don't we, what time is it? Oh, geez, it's already 1 o'clock. Darn. All right, what do you got here? It's coming down into trading range. There's nothing wrong with that. Yep. This is a good example of, buying when they're crying, selling when they're yelling. This might take a while. Clearly we don't have any W's yet here. Just made lower lows. So there is no hurry here. But definitely location. And if anything, Bugra, this is where you got to make friends with Joshua. And you have to ask Joshua, where are the gaps? And my hunch is there's probably some really great trade levels if you just go and pick the chart apart down here. All right, so there is the floor. Let's see what we got. Looks like that might still be open. That's there. So there's a little gap right there. Might be something in there. I don't know. Tough one. Did they fill that in here? That's pretty close. I don't know. Looks like they left the gap open there. Okay, so there's a few level. Oh, look, and there's another gap there. So this obviously is really important level right there. So let's go see what we got. Oh boy. So Bagra, you see how this thing could still work its way a bit lower. So, and we talk about look left, right? So when you lost that low, you got to look left. Next key support's down in here. And I just did a quick study and it showed gaps here. Well, inches, this obviously is pretty important level down in here. So you want to work your stinky, stinky, stinky bids, work them down here. I don't think there's a big hurry just yet. Just slowly let this thing turn. I don't see any reason to get too excited just yet. These are a good example of too far, too fast. When you see your asset go up like this, that's just unsustainable, guys. You can't sustain it. And what usually happens is they basically just bring the whole thing right back down to the bottom. All right, so Jeremy's saying that Bitcoin's breaking out. Well, it's trying to. What was your bet? What's your recent bet with Thomas? What does it have to hit 25,000 by a certain date? No one wants to bet me anymore. That's good. Are you still looking for new highs? New highs from the Jeremy guys. Let's hope these guys are wrong. All right. I mean, only time will tell. That's what makes a horse race, eh? Okay, so that is 1 o'clock. I got to get all jazzed and spruced and ready for Liam. I've given you probably about a half a dozen ideas for you to chew on this morning. We will see everybody bright and early. Wow, 30K before the end of August. There you go. Damn. All right, so Jeremy's made the call. No guarantees from the management. Always play from a position of strength. And don't leave yourself into a position where if Bitcoin does hit 30,000, you don't take advantage of that. So, all right, guys, you have yourselves a great rest of your day. It's nice to see some people turned up. I didn't really give you much notice for this broiler chickens, but on balance, I think we did a half decent job for you. And like I said, first thing in the morning tomorrow, we'll have Thomas back in the saddle to give you a full rundown of what the day trading charts are setting up. So. Have yourselves a great day, everybody. All the best, and bye for now.